Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another fabulous podcast. I'm here with Mr. Myles Cunliffe.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing this, Myles. This is podcast number 4. Lucky number 4. Number 3 is still being edited, and this might go out before number 3. But anyway, before we go any further, let's introduce yourself, because I think maybe some people don't know Myles. Probably some of you do. I have quite an international audience, so the UK base probably know exactly who you are. But tell the world who Myles Cunliffe is, please.
Thank you very much. Very, very simple. Born and raised in Zambia. Came over here in mid-90s. Started bartending back end of 1999. And spent the last 20 years travelling around the world, making drinks, teaching people, having a lot of fun.
Yeah? Zambia?
Yep.
I didn't know you were born in Zambia.
Born and raised on a beef farm in the middle of the bush.
Can you speak Zambian?
There are 63, I think, recognised languages, but English is number 1. But I was made to learn Afrikaans and Zulu at school in South Africa, but that was a very long time ago.
Wow. And when did you move over here? What age?
95, so I think I was about 13 when I came over here.
Fantastic. And when did you get into bartending?
Left school, had a summer of love. Folks gave me the ultimatum that if I don't get a job, I've got to move out. So I got a job. Very lucky break. Brand new hotel opened up near my folks' house in Somerset called Babington House.
Yeah.
So got a lovely sort of introduction to the world of sort of boutique hotels there. Then moved to London, met my then girlfriend, now wife / boss business partner, Zoe.
Keep it in the family.
Keep it in there. And then we were supposed to go work the Winter Olympics in Utah. 9/11 happened. Visas got cancelled.
Wow.
Went to a mate's house down here in Brighton. It's one of them 2 a.m. epiphany kind of thing. He had a Brighton Uni prospectus, and at the back of it was a degree in wine studies.
Wow.
Now, up until that point, my parents kind of thought I'd been having gap years.
Many of them, one after the other, yeah?
Never mind that I work full time, 60-hour week standard, but yeah, gap years. And so we moved down to Brighton so I could start the wine course, wine degree. Carried on bartending all the way through, ran nightclubs, restaurants, hotels, that sort of thing down here in Brighton. Then got a bit of a lucky break, I suppose. 2004, I submitted a recipe to this online competition via the UKBG. And got invited to come up for the heats in the Big Smoke. So I turned up at
London,
for those of you who don't know. So I turned up at this wicked bar. Currently, it's no longer training. I think it burnt down at one point.
I'm not sure. I think
match.
I think I know the competition. It was Stolly the sponsor.
Yep, they were the primary sponsor. Yeah, you were there.
I was on the flair side, making a mess, and you were on the classic mixology
side. So I turn up in some jeans and a t-shirt with a backpack with some stuff, and everyone turn up in a white jacket and tie and some white gloves and silver trays. And I
remember that.
I was fucking gobsmacked. Did my little heat. Was asked to come back for the finals, which was wicked. So again, bowled up to the Big Smoke, London again. And thankfully came third. Won £1,000 and then had an amazing night in Shoreditch.
Yeah, I do remember. The finals was at the same place, right?
Same place, that's right.
Yeah,
and it was carnage.
Exactly. Well, we're going to go back in a minute to some more of your accolades, sort of after that, moving forward, I suppose. But this cocktail has got a bit of a story behind it, has it not?
Yeah, nice and simple. So again, it was an online comp. I submitted the recipe. I didn't really read, and this is a major thing for competitions, guys. Read the rules. Didn't read the fucking rules. Submitted a long drink recipe. And then a couple of months later, they sent me another email back saying, dickhead, it's a short drink category. So I went, okay. So I just took the soda water out.
And what was the recipe?
Very easy. So it was kind of named after the missus. So my Zoe. And it's super simple, 2:1 ratio, 50ml vanilla vodka, Stolly, 25ml of elderflower cordial, 25 on the lemon, and then a little bit of fresh chilli.
Fantastic. It sounds very familiar to another cocktail out there, actually. Do you know there's another one very similar to that?
Yeah, I think it's something along the lines of perhaps a hot and spicy. Maybe there's a 50 thrown in there as well.
Funny how that came about.
Yeah.
Very strange. But for those who don't know, you can ask questions in the comments box below what we're talking about, and we'll get back to you there on that one. But do you want to make it, actually? Because I did actually buy some chilies.
Got some chilies.
And while Myles is doing that, I'm going to zoom in so we can see what's going on, actually. And then you can just talk us through what you're doing, pretty much.
So the idea of the drink, I suppose with all drinks that I like to make, is they've got to be easy to replicate, they've got to be fast, they've got to make you money. This particular sort of flavour profile, I think, came about on quite a piss Sunday afternoon working in 5th floor at Harvey Nicks. But yes, it was just really easy, and I quite liked kind of exploring the idea of elderflower. You know, intrinsically, it's a very, very British flavour.
Yeah.
Vanilla is an easy flavour to work with. Smash the two together, and then for a little of picante, a little bit of heat, I suppose, we threw in a bit of chili. So again, originally it was a long drink. Didn't read the rules. Took out the soda water, shook it for a little bit longer.
Just to lengthen it a bit more.
Just to lengthen it a little bit more, and then that was it. So times have kind of moved on. My affiliations with brands perhaps have moved on slightly. So the ingredients I'm using today, a little bit different from what I used at the comp, but essentially it's the same ratio.
Yeah, yeah.
So nice chilled cocktail glass, shove that to one side, grab your cocktail stuff. Nice and easy.
It's funny you talk about elderflower, because I was just with a friend of mine picking elderflower from the trees of London for him to make some kind of, I can't remember what we were making now. All I remember is just picking a shitload of elderflower. So this is not homemade elderflower you got here,
no, this is the House of Browson, thanks to Fentimans, which are a brand partner of ours. But again, slight difference in the ratio. This stuff is high strength, so you just drop it down by half.
Right.
It's double the sugar and double the flavour. Nice and easy.
That's good.
Vodka I'm using today is Absolute, but of course it could be a homemade vanilla vodka, it could be a proprietary brand you can get your hands on. Again, no stress, no fuss. The thing I like to do is cheapest ingredients in first, because if I make a mistake, I just pour the lemon juice away. Mistakes happen a lot, I'm getting old.
I was about to say, do you make mistakes, Myles? I mean,
they happen a lot.
Yeah.
So again, nice single double, lemon juice, single measure, nice and easy, drop it in. Boom. Grab your elderflower. Now you could use one of the well-known cordial brands out there on the UK market. You could make your own. I made my own elderflower cordial with the kids yesterday. I'm that old. Wow. I know. I'm very lucky. I've got 2 types of elderflower in my garden. I've got
pink and white.
I've got the standard white, bruv, and then we've got a bit bijou, so we've got a pink one as well.
They're so common to find. Actually.
No. Thanks to the mother-in-law for that one, for planting that. Bless her. So it's just a half measure on the House of Browson because it's the double strength.
We'll put something somewhere.
Spec up somewhere.
We'll put a specification of ingredients and everything in the comments box, or in the description, so that you can play along at home and try this cocktail yourself. And this was called a Myzo. M-Y-Z-O?
As in my Zoe, that was the whole point. Well, no, that's a lie. Originally it was half me, half her, but at the comp, everyone's, oh, you named it after your missus. And I went, fuck yeah.
I did.
And I've been living off that for the last
Fantastic.
16 years. So it's a double measure of the vanilla vodka, and then just a nice little thin sliver of a little bit of chili, nothing too mental. I like to use the bottom of the chili so you stay away from the gnarly membrane and the seeds.
This one isn't as spicy as like a red eye, so
we should be alright, I think. And that's pretty much it. Now, again, ice-wise, I'm lucky. I work with Hoshizaki. I've got more fucking ice machines that I know what to do with. I've got a wicked sphere machine, and I've got the beast in the corner. But again, use whatever you want. At home, we'd be making big blocks and chopping them down. But nice and simple. No scoop for some reason, but we'll chuck some ice in.
This is a nice bar as well, actually.
Yeah, no, lucky. Again, we've got some porter bars a couple of years ago, and then we just put a fancy sort of cover on the front, fascia on the front. Cap it up, give it a shake. Obviously, the longer you shake, the more chili you get. Now, I have been made this in the past by bartenders who have discovered who I am. Oh, make you one of these, and it's fucking impossible to drink.
It's as spicy as.
Yo, my God! And again, the older I get, the more heartburn that happens. But you know, double strain, single strain, it's up to you.
I like personally. I do love a double strain. I'm just that bit poncy sometimes.
I think it's summer. I quite like the little crystals.
That's a good point as well.
You know, adds with a little bit of dilution as well. The texture.
I did see someone on Facebook the other day had a sign up saying, "Can we stop putting rocks in coupes, please?" Which I thought was good. Someone had a sign, "Stop putting big ice blocks in your coupe glass," which is a fair point, really.
Was that the world of bartenders?
I think so. Yeah.
Love that. Love that. It's even better getting on there than it is looking at the news these days.
Oh, terrible.
Garnish, super simple. Again, the other recipe that's out there says to rim the glass. Rimming the glass can cause an awful lot of unwanted pain. Never want chili on your rim.
No one likes a spicy rim, do they?
And there we have
Boom.
a nice and easy.
Delicious.
My
I've been
God.
here for an hour and a half waiting for a drink, and finally I get one now. No, thank you very much indeed. I'm just going to move that for a second because it's quite intrusive into the face. Oh, it's just really fucking good, isn't it?
Very easy, very simple. Obviously, you can amp up the vanilla. Carriel vodka's a nice one. Stolly's a nice one. Absolute's a nice one. Or you can make your own.
The simplest drinks are definitely the best.
And they make loads of money.
Four, exactly. Let's say 4 ingredients. 1 minute to, I was going to say 10 minutes to make them. 1 minute to make. And hey presto, there you go. Well, I'm going to drink that.
Please do.
I'll
Shall I join you around the front?
Yeah, please do. I'll make you a drink soon. I don't know what. Probably a Pina Colada. Yeah, I can zoom back out now. Come on. There we go.
Oh, should we do a worthy Part 12 daiquiri?
A what? Is this some overproof?
It's Ray and Nephew with knickers on.
Oof. Worthy Park 12 daiquiri. Have I said that right? Worthy Park?
12-year-old.
Oh, 12-year-old. Sorry, I'm completely miles away. And this is basically 56% alcohol.
Jamaican rum, full of funk. I think it was voted as one of 2019's best rums.
Well, let's make. Can I make a daiquiri?
You can.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit of pseudo lime juice left, perhaps.
What's pseudo lime juice?
Perhaps another variety of citrus called lemon.
You just tested me here now. Are you into all this citric acids and everything else for,
Yeah,
the sort of citrus of your cocktails?
I think it's fun to play around with the different acids, so your citrics, your malics, that sort of thing. I think it can get it quite uncomfortable if you don't get your dilution ratios right.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, we will forever be importing citrus into the UK. I've got a tiny little tree outside my office, but it does fuck all.
Really?
I use it mostly for garnishes with the pretty flowers.
Oh, that's the flower you just gave me to eat.
Yep. And the leaves are very aromatic as well, but I don't see us necessarily having full-blown lime sort of plantations, etc., happening in the UK anytime soon.
Needs to get a very, very big greenhouse.
But again, it's quite fun. I mean, we've been playing a lot with, obviously, rhubarb is banging season right now.
Yep. Another typical
Very British
flavour.
Absolutely. And I think the acidity that you can get from that can be quite extreme. Something that we've been playing with, and I suppose it's quite predominant here in Sussex because of the wine industry, but Verjus.
Yeah.
Which is sort of...
I had to do a flavour.
No. You flare up. That's why the mats are out, rude boy.
It's got, there is bounce mats here, like you think I'm going to drop it.
Coots on the left.
Yeah.
So Verjus is basically a really acidic grape juice. Everything's in there, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Which you can utilise to add a bit of sort of a green acidity.
Say that again, Verjus.
Verjus.
Never come across it. And that's like, you use it like lemon juice?
It's like a really, really unripe grape juice.
I'm not sugar in this yet, sorry.
Right.
Really, really unripe
Sugar
grape
syrup's up there. maybe behind the Funkin on the right, or just to the left of the Funkin, there is a House of Broughton simple syrup.
There we go.
So that's the simple syrup, so that's on a 1-to-1 ratio, so use as much or as little as you like.
Oh, how sweet do you want it?
Perfect.
Is that enough?
Perfect.
Yeah? Good. You want to taste the rum, right?
Absolutely.
No messing about.
And so yeah, I think there are alternatives. You can of course find sort of crab apple verjus as well. Apples in this country are grown everywhere. So again, it's harvesting green fruits, pressing that, and then relying on the natural acidity. Other things as well, things like vinegar. It's quite a nice little thing to play with.
I discovered pickle juice the other day actually, doing some work for a certain tequila brand. And coming up with a beetroot and pickled beetroot and anyway, yeah, pickle juice is good. 1 second. I've never made you a drink before, have I? I feel the pressure.
I don't think I made you one either. Equal pressure.
Unless it was at one of these festivals many years ago, but I don't know if we ended up in the same place.
No, I think we were both involved in the same program.
You don't want to find the silly fine strain, do you?
It is too hot. We are subtropical in Brighton today. Almost reminds me of home. No, I miss the hardcore event days. Just physically wise, mentally wise, I'm not entirely sure I'll be able to cope with it anymore. It's lovely, isn't it?
That is good. That is good.
That is my rum find of the year.
That is very good indeed. Well,
cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thanks for
And that's the end of the podcast. Thank you very much for watching. So, let's go back to the Mizo, which has been given other names as we've discovered, but 2004 IBA or UKBG finals, you came third. You didn't get to the big final.
No, that was Nigel who won the 10K, unfortunately.
He won the what, sorry?
Nigel Weissbaum. I don't know if you remember him. He was London Bar Services. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
So that was him. I suppose my entry into the events world was in the heats. I was competing against him. He was the only other normal bloke there, i.e. jeans and a t-shirt. And at the end of the heats, just gave me a business card and said, "Have you ever done events before?" I was like, "No, not really." The big thing for me was when I moved down from London to Brighton, my wages effectively got cut in half. 0 tips down here. I was working for Harvey Nicks up there. It was obscene tips-wise. And he was like, "Yeah, man, come up for events in London, £100 a shift."
1 sec, sorry.
And I was absolutely gobsmacked that you could earn that much money just slinging some drinks together. And instantly signed up. So I worked for him for a little while. Then through that, got some work with Shaker, got some work with Gorgeous Group. I don't know if you remember Squeeze back in the day.
They go into liquidation like 9 times.
They did.
That was an events company in which we did, events.
Everyone worked for them at one point.
Everybody did, yeah.
And then got onto Sweet and Chili. So that was my kind of freelance, I suppose, CV.
Did you do any other competitions after that one?
No, because I was just really busy. To be fair, and no, that's a lie. I did enter a Pussers competition and decided to take the piss. Pussers launched a new 15-year-old rum, I think, at the time.
Right.
And so I put it in a Pina Colada.
Yes! Did you win that one?
Yes.
Yeah? Really? Fantastic. Actually, there's a friend of mine, you know Bob Jones?
Yes.
Bob Jones works for Pussers now over in the States. And Steve Dingley, who...
Yeah, wow, these old names.
So people, if you don't know who they are, just ask us and I'll let you know. But yeah, that's interesting. I love a bit of Pussers rum. There was a bottle of Pussers sitting in my dad's drink cabinet for like 10 years while I was at home, for a long time. But so then so you did that comp and then no more competitions.
No more comps for a while. Kind of left the event world. Had basically had another hip replacement, so kind of had to knock that kind of side of the business on the head. Got made redundant a couple of times. It was 08, 09 going into 10, so things were pretty ropey then, as they are now. And then I decided pretty much that I wouldn't ever get made redundant again. So wife and I set up Mixology Group together. She was She was involved in recruitment in childcare and managed to convince her to join the dark side.
Yeah.
So
Children to bigger children, basically.
pretty much is what event recruitment is like: herding cats or herding children. And then we've been training for the last 10 years.
So sorry to interrupt. Mixology Group is your school, and events company.
Yeah, we're split into three. So we've got the school, the events, and then we do consultancy for supermarkets, big drink brands, that sort of thing.
And how long have you been going for now?
10 years this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good,
Thank you very much.
And I mean, starting up a school, especially at a bartending school, is a lot of people try. A lot of people have tried. There's obviously the school that I'm involved in. This is quite a known school, let's say. But to start up your own school, I would find that myself, really daunting.
It was tough.
So is there any advice that, you could give to people out there? Like what hurdles did you come against, and
I think the biggest hurdle is investment.
Yeah.
To find a space to pay upfront rents, get the insurance up and running. As I'm sure you know, this is all very important to be above board. And then it's equipment. I'm surrounded by very expensive glass washers and ice machines and ridiculous things. Fortunately, they're my brand partners, so we work together on these things. And I represent them, and they represent me. But I think it's being brave.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, if you feel passionate in teaching, and I've, like yourself, we've been teaching thousands of bartenders all over the world for a long time. It's wanting to pass on that knowledge to the next generation, which I think for me means more than getting a £3 million tip. It's that joy in a student's eye when they finally fucking get how to make something.
That's because we didn't get the £3 million tip yet. But no, I completely agree. There's training for me over the years has been frustrating sometimes, as you probably has for you. But when you get the people who are super passionate and pick it up and want to know more, and then they grow into a known bar or whatever, they make something of it. It's rewarding. It means
it is. I mean, when I was working for Shaker, two young gentlemen came into the Shaker school. I was the head trainer for Shaker UK. So I was running a school in Shoreditch. Two young gentlemen came in under the names of Eric and Marion.
Wow. Lawrence and Beck. Wow.
Signed up for all the courses they possibly could. As soon as they arrived on day one, I was like, boys, why are you here? You've obviously got the skills. You know what you're talking about. You know what you're saying. And I suppose this was a bit of epiphany for me as well, because they said, well, we're going round and we're trying to learn as many different aspects as possible.
Wow.
And I thought, that's quite humbling.
Yeah.
For starters.
Hang on, sorry. So Eric Lawrence, Marion Beck, was this before they were known? So basically, you trained Eric Lawrence and Marion Beck.
Yeah.
I said it. Sorry, I said it. He didn't say. But
they were very highly skilled gentlemen when they walked in the room.
Yeah, I mean, I think Siki.
Mm-hmm.
I think he worked with Marion or knew Marion back in Slovakia, it's interesting to know that two big names in the world, they went around and did their research, and bartending schools gets a lot of flack. It gets a lot of
negativity.
Gets a lot of negativity because they are, no, you must learn on the job and you can't learn in the bartending school. And I'm like, when I first started bartending, I would kind of be one of those people to a certain extent. And there is a small percentage of truth that learning something on the job will teach you a certain amount. But what I've learned since running my own school, and I'm sure it's the same with you, is that there's so much more that you can teach someone in a school that you can't teach behind a bar.
Well, we're lucky. We've got time. Sterile is a negative word. Do you know what I mean? But we don't have interruptions from customers, or the phone ringing, or the manager going, "You got to go do a delivery."
Unblock the toilets,
or clean up blood, all that shit. So I think if you go to a school, or if you want to gain qualifications, I think the best way is to find the best possible people to deliver that.
Yeah.
Regardless of what industry you're in. Would you trust a brain surgeon who hadn't gone to med school?
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly.
You know, bartenders now, we have so much that we need to learn. I mean, I started 20 years ago, we had 5 gins on the back bar.
Yeah. yeah.
5 gins on the back bar. These days, there's what, 3,500, 4,000, fuck knows how many gins are on the UK market at the moment. Fucking loads of them, basically.
I remember, sorry to interrupt, just quickly, I remember doing events 15 years ago or so, and you'd do an event, you'd have 5 cocktails, you know, whiskey, a rum, a gin, a tequila, and a vodka cocktail. And they'd all go, but the gin cocktail would never move. Now, you put your hands up in a room of people, who likes gin? Everyone puts their hands up. I'm like, you sheep. You know, it's all marketing at the end of the day. You don't really like gin, although gin is pretty nice, you know. But it's true, no?
Absolutely. So again, you know, I think if you want to compete on the international market, labour market, shall we say, you want to go travelling, you know, these big areas that are coming out now, South America, India, the Far East, United States, Europe, for example, you know, to be a bartender is considered a profession.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this country, my parents still don't think I have a proper job.
Still. He's got a school right here. We're in the training room and an office full of booze. Yeah, no, they don't have a proper. It's not a proper job though, is it really?
But my bank manager doesn't think I have a proper job. And so for me, it was really important to try and add weight to people's CVs. You know, to go to an accredited school, to get accreditations. It's underwritten by a governing body, and just add weight to your own CV, because ultimately you are competing with so many different. And I know there's the shit B words coming up at the end of the year and all that kind of nonsense, but you are competing on an international labour market. The older I get, the younger the bartenders get. So therefore, I got to know more than them. I'm not necessarily that fast anymore. I'm carrying a little bit of timber these days. Dodgy elbow, dodgy shoulder. But, you know, the older I get, I think I need to have more knowledge. And again, for the modern bartender, it's coffee, it's allergies, it's fucking biodynamic wines and natural wines, mocktails and vegan and this and this and this. And so if you go from 5 gins 20 years ago to the gin market now, then you look at the tonics, the syrups, everything's expanded so much.
Yeah.
The only way to get exposed, I suppose, in a nice, comfortable environment is to go to a school like ours.
Sure.
And learn in a safe, comfortable manner. And do you know what? If you make a mistake, it really doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Pour it down the drain, we'll write it down, and then we'll crack on and make something else. If it's rank, never make it again.
Yeah, exactly. It's. I don't understand. You know, I do understand people's thoughts that, you know, that's not the word I'm looking for.
Waste of money, a waste of time, you should learn on the job.
Yeah, I understand that, you know, people are like, no, you've got to do all that. But at the end of the day, I always say, look, if that's how you feel, come down to the school.
Check
watch
it out.
how it works, then make your opinions, you know. I totally understand. And you're also providing, dare I say, an experience for people who come here. Because I'm sure as soon as people walk in here, they're like, fucking hell, look at all this.
Why isn't this an open bar?
Why isn't this a bar? Like, can I bring my friends here? Is there a party going on? You know, it's like, no, it's a learning place. And I think it's Francesco Lanfranconi used to say, we're not drinking, we're learning, you know? But that's it. People just think you come here and you get pissed all day, but you actually need to learn and you actually need to improve yourself as well. There's something which I've learned.
Yeah, so just, you know, general maintenance. If you're going to invest loads of money in an ice machine, learn how to clean it, switch it off, decommission, go into mothball, do all the stuff that, you know, that you don't necessarily on shift have time to learn.
Exactly.
You know, I don't have a coffee machine in here because, well, I got really addicted to espresso very, very long time ago, and I don't trust myself with an espresso machine anymore. But yeah, you know, this costs money, and for your average bar, if you break it, you damage it, you know, you run out of ice, don't know what to do. How do you clean the filters on the Hoshizakis? You know, all these little tiny things you don't necessarily have time to learn on shift.
Yeah.
Whereas in here, we come in, we have a little, you know, pouring practice in the morning, and then we roll behind the bar, we do some spirit tasting, affiliated with WSET, so we do lots of, you know, lovely, that's all I've done today is 30 spirit samples today.
So talk to us about WSET, which is Wine and Spirits Education Trust.
Correct.
You are accredited level trainer.
I deliver level 1 and level 2 in spirits.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for a couple of years now. I did my first WSET qualification 0203.
Yeah.
And it literally changed my entire point of view with regards to how to approach spirits, how to see how they taste and how I can work with them.
Yeah.
I always wanted to become a trainer. It wasn't until we started this school up that we got I went off, I did my level 2, smashed that 100%, thank fuck.
Congratulations.
If I hadn't got it, I'd be really fucking worried, to be fair. Then I did the educator's course and then got the qualification to then deliver their courses on their behalf. It's been great. I get to meet a lot of people. We do a lot with brands, a lot of private people. Today I've got a brand ambassador and then some dude who works for the Red Cross.
Wow.
Via Zoom, by the way, social distance.
Yeah. We're not really sitting this close. No. Exactly. So I walked in and you're doing. I mean, Zoom is the thing at the moment, isn't it? Digitally, how can we offer these courses, from a distance? And I think that after this whole pandemic and everything else, there's going to be a real panic. Let's call it the panic, the pandemic, the panic. Yeah, exactly. The pandemic. It's there's a lot of companies I think will think, well, why do I have all this big real estate when I could do everything digitally? Why do I need to go and see this person? And that's a scary thing, but at the same time, it's going to completely fuck up a lot of things, logistically for people, I think. And even in the bartending, even in what we're doing in the bar school world, there's still certain things you can do digitally. It's not the same because you want to sit there and have that conversation about the Worthy Park 12 year.
And hold it in your hand.
And drink a little bit more of it, exactly. But at the same time, you can still give that education to somebody who can't afford to come all this way and be in the school and still get something from it.
Well, we've been exploring this idea for a long time now. I used to do a lot of remote hotel training, shall we say. So I was very lucky, I was working for Fling at the time, got to fly out to some wicked hotels on their behalf, but it'd be a day and a half to fly there and then a day to naturalise, get used to the heat, basically, figure out you've got to put your shit...
That's what you call it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I normally have to fly there, do the work. You're like, no, I need 2 days beforehand.
It's in the contract, bruv. But then, very quickly realised that to fly someone to the Maldives, to fly someone to Nepal, to fly anywhere costs a lot of money. Now, back then, the models that we were looking at were loosely based on the porn chat room model with regards to a...
Who found that one out then?
With regards to the performer being on screen and then interacting with people on screen. Now, again, I'm crap at tech, shall we say. And so we shelved that idea for a couple of years. Zoom came about, super simple. PowerPoint's easy to share.
Yeah.
Took a couple of attempts to kind of get used to have the multiple sort of screens, get that going. But yeah, I think it's going to open up, especially to the developing world, to the emerging world, shall we say. People don't necessarily have the money to be able to afford to come to the UK to do a qualification, or perhaps to a major city. This now opens up through the power of the internet.
Completely.
An awful lot of learning. And I'm all about sharing. All this bullshit that you've got to keep your recipes and not share bollocks as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed.
And it's been used but by my lovely friends up in Birmingham, BAB, Birmingham Association of Bartenders. They use this term a lot, but it's to raise the bar.
Yeah.
And I think, essentially that's
pun intended.
Absolutely. That's essentially what we have to do as an industry. We've all got to get better, primarily because my bank manager needs to think I've got a proper fucking job, and my parents need to think I've got a proper job well.
They'll never think it. They'll know exactly. Anyway, so digitally, everything else. Now, I want to talk a little bit about spirits and tastings. I know he's just done a load of tastings next door, and his words were to the students that my taste buds are completely shot. But I would still like to taste some stuff with you, and I'll tell you why. Because the last time we saw each other was at the Bartender Brand Awards, I think, last year, which seemed like it was only a few months ago, actually. Did you do this year as well?
No. No, sorry, beg your pardon. What, the Brighton one?
No, sorry, not the Brighton, the Class Bartender Brand Awards. We sat on the table, there's me, you, and...
it was the tasting, wasn't it?
We were doing loads of rums.
I think to stay at the forefront, to be current, you've got to have an understanding of what's coming out in the market. You've got to have an understanding of trends, pink gin.
Pink everything.
More fucking pink gin. Apologies for the swearing.
It's alright, I have to beep
Pink
it
gin.
out so I can monetize it.
You can share it.
Pink gin! Pink gin!
But yeah, no, I think part and parcel of what I do is I encourage all my students, I've got a fairly eclectic, it's quite diminished, most of it's at home at the moment, but I've got a fairly eclectic sort of spirit collection. And I encourage people to, put a house product in, put a 50 quid bottle in, put a £100 bottle in, and is there a price difference? Is there a taste difference? Is there a rationale behind that particular rum's price point? Yes, it's delicious, it's amazing, la 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 la, compared to something which is well known with a bat insignia on it.
Yeah, this is what I found interesting when we did the tasting, because I was honoured to be asked to come and do this tasting, because being a flair bartender, they don't normally think that you could do that kind of thing. And I'm not sure if they asked me to try and take the piss out of me, or if they genuinely wanted my opinion. But I'm sitting there on a table next to Eric Lorenz, Myles is over here, and I can't remember the other people on there. I was
Tons of very well known people.
very well, who own bars and everything, and I throw bottles around. And,
And you own your own school.
I know we run our own school, of course. But I felt a little bit intimidated, if I'm not going to joke or not going to lie here. And we were drinking the rums, so it's not like we had something easy like syrups. Strawberry, yeah, it tastes like strawberry. It's great. Do you know what I mean? It's rum, and you've got a lot of different flavour profiles going on. And you've got to shout out your scores and everything. And I always wanted to see if mine and your score was quite similar, because Myles has a lot of experience doing this kind of thing. So does Eric. But what I did notice, and I noticed this from a mixology competition a few years ago as well, is that there is a certain level of uncertainty from a lot of people when they're tasting. But what I've come to realise, and what I felt confident in, is that that's what I taste, that's what I score, and it's different for everybody at the end of the day. So somebody might really like this, somebody might really hate it.
My wife hates it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Which is great.
That's more for you. But it's such a subjective subject.
I think that particular occasion as well, it was all blinds. We didn't know what was in the glasses. It was numbered 1 through to 4 or 5 or 6, or I think there was 70 odd by the end of the day, something outrageous. But again, once you remove the branding, once you move the brand positioning, you're just left with a liquid in a glass. Yeah. And you've got one thing to answer. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Which is ultimately exactly the same for the consumer.
Yeah.
Because if they don't like it, they're going to tell you, they're going to turn into a Karen.
Sorry, Karen.
Beg your pardon. They're going to turn into a really difficult customer, perhaps. Who might not want to pay for that particular drink. And ultimately, all I want to do is I want to give people a drink which they really like.
You can fucking, it's okay.
Which they really like, and then hopefully they come back tomorrow and they get a drink off me again. That's all I care about these days.
Can we use this as an example? You can't drink, so we have to spit it out.
Yeah, I can get some spittoons for me.
Can we do some tasting and then talk me and the other people through how you taste a spirit? Now I have my technique that I've been taught by different people and whatnot. But it'd be interesting for others to know.
Yeah, I've got a little selection of some loveliness behind you as well. Ooh. That perhaps we can explore. Yes. For me, it's all about brands. It's about provenance. It's about brand knowledge. It's about how does the brand make me feel. Yeah. I don't necessarily know the intricate ins and outs. That's the correct word of each. Production process. Very often that's a industrial secret. Yep. They're not going to fucking tell you. Yeah. So all I focus on is what's it look like, what does it smell like, what does it taste like, how long does that last in your mouth? No jokes. And how can I use it? Yeah. And then we think about price point, we think about brand positioning, and all that kind of crap on top. Two great products here to taste. Very, very different. So Worthy Park is basically a single estate Jamaican rum. This is their 12-year-old expression. Pour a little bit out for you to have a little ganders.
The other one we've got here is a mezcal, which we'll just put to one side.
Yeah, we'll have that for
dessert.
11s. 14s for me. Oh, branding. There we go.
This isn't like a sponsored video or nothing.
No, this is just a random selection from the chaos that's on the shelves. So yeah, what does it look like? So rum used to be split into lots of different complicated categories. Now it's just white, gold, dark, finished.
Right.
So that doesn't take into any account its supposed age or actual age. It's just, what does it look like? So as far as I'm concerned, it looks gold.
Yeah.
There's no messing about there. There's no kind of like, unicorn sparkle or anything like that going on inside it.
There's no unicorn sparkle there, no?
Maybe in Brighton, but definitely not here today. Have a little smell. It smells really pungent.
And when you're smelling, sorry to sort of go deep into the details here, but I was taught, this was actually by the Appleton master distiller, what's her name?
Joyce Spence.
Joyce Spence. I think that sounds right. That you smell, and then you let it go back in the glass, and then you smell again, apparently.
Yeah. So again, it's just trying to flood your nose and your mouth and your brain with as much of these delicious aromas as possible. Wonderful. Some people talk about mouth breathing, which is where you breathe in through your mouth and your nose at the same time. But how pungent, how aromatic is the rum? So if you hold it out there, can you still smell it?
Yeah.
Bring it closer to you. How hard you have to work to get that aroma into your head. For me, this is literally dripping out the glass.
Yeah.
I like smell-o-vision would be amazing.
It would be, yeah. I said that on a video a little while ago. It'd be great if you could scratch and sniff this. But
and I've been a massive fan of Ray and Nephew throughout my career.
There's a lot of bartenders that have, I think.
It's caused me a lot of damage. Personally,
if you like Ray and Nephew, let us know.
Yeah, get in touch. But this for me is your atypical Jamaican rum. There's lots of funk in here. It smells of sort of really ripe tropical fruit. Think black bananas, think pineapples, that sort of thing. And it's just really complicated.
So can you talk me through like in simple steps for the guys, sort of do you have a routine when you're going to taste something?
Yeah, so I follow the WSET systematic approach to tasting. Nice. So with that, they
free training right here for you right now.
They break it down into kind of 3 formats. So we look at the appearance, and through that we decide, is it clear, and then we decide on the colour.
Yeah.
Then we have a little smell.
Yeah.
Decide how pungent it is. What aromatics are coming through. More importantly, though, can you smell the raw material? Does it smell like sugarcane?
To be honest, you need to know what sugarcane smells like, don't you? Really?
But smell some brown sugar. Smell some muscovado sugar.
It smells like Jamaica to me.
It's lush, basically. Normally, we add a little bit of water just to drop the ABV. This is a very healthy 56%. So very definitely add a little bit of water. Should we do that now? Let's add some water.
A little dish dash.
A little tickle.
But it does smell wonderful. I was actually lucky enough to be in, as a year and a half ago, I was in St. Bart's and went to this guy, it's called the Rum Room. It's a little bar over there, and got to try Long Pond.
Lush.
Beautiful, huh? Absolutely wonderful. And they've got it in Borough Market. I think they've got a whiskey exchange there or something like that.
So just recommended sort of either 1-to-1, a couple of drops, whatever your palate wants. This is such a personal thing for me to say, you have to do 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Do what you want, whatever makes you happy. But generally speaking, a little bit of water is just added just to drop the ABV, make it a little bit more accessible. Little smell again. Does anything change? Anything evolve? No, it still kind of smells the same. Still there. There's probably
lighter,
precisely.
easier to smell, sort of
more
thing.
Accessible.
Exactly.
So that's the point of the water.
Exactly.
It makes it easier.
The fumes don't destroy your nose hairs and burn them out your face.
And at that ABV, we've got to be careful.
Yeah.
Then have a little taste. So when you taste, again, we're not winos. So we don't suck it through, a great big mouthful of air on top of the spirit, because you're just going to choke and look like an idiot, basically. So just roll it gently around your mouth, and then I'm going to be using a spittoon today, but of course you can happily imbibe responsibly.
I will, completely. And now I was also taught by someone, I forgot his name now, Jesus Christ, brand ambassador for Tullamore Dew, John, I'm going to have to cut that out, I can't remember his name. I was taught that when you drink straight spirits, it's to kind of prepare your mouth for it. Now, you've been drinking straight spirits all day, basically, but to kind of take the tiniest piece on like your tongue and your lips and allow it to sort of go in your mouth so it doesn't kill your taste buds, and then drink some. So that it
kind of floods your nose, your brain with this loveliness that's in the glass.
Exactly.
Then you can go back and reassess. Otherwise, your brain just goes, no, the last time you did this, it was a stupid idea.
Exactly. But okay, so then taste it.
Got to use spittoon, sorry about that. But yeah. And then what we're looking for is how long does it last?
Forever.
You know, how pungent is that aroma? Flavour. Are the aromas that we smelt initially the same as the flavour? Is there a match there? Is it balanced? Mm-hmm. Is it a cohesive product? So everything again on the nose, we're picking up on the palate. And then what I'm looking for is a complexity on the finish. So how long does it last? Is there an evolution in flavour? So does it change? Is there a complexity?
Yep.
Can you sit there for half an hour maybe next to the fire, chilling, take the top off, carry on, etc. And ultimately, does it make you happy? Because if it makes you happy, then it's a good product.
Exactly.
But for me, it's all about provenance. It's about working with nice small producers. So the mezcal's up next.
Okay, let me just wash that down with the daiquiri right here. I mean, that is, just before we get to the mezcal, that is a beautiful rum.
It's stunning. I mean, price point is quite prohibitive, shall we say. It's kind of in well above double figures. But quite rightly so. It's been aged for 12 years.
We've just thrown that in a daiquiri as well.
Why the fuck not?
Brilliant.
But, that's the kind of rationale that I want students to kind of experience when they come to me because, again, follow spec. That's what we have to do on shift. That's how we make money.
Sure.
Can't deviate from spec because then your stock take is up the Swanee. No one knows what's going on. And you're bankrupt.
So I've got a question. I just want to go on a sort of off piece for a minute before we get to the mezcal. Now, somebody called me the other day and he said, his basic question was, why is there not a place where new bartenders can find the recipe for all the cocktails? I mean, I said, there is, you can speak to the World Flow Association, IBA and whatever, all these different ones. And he's like, no, but there should be one governing body that has this. And I said, well, I disagree because the way you make a mojito, let's say a daiquiri, for example, will be different to the way I make it. Maybe only a few mils, maybe different rum, maybe a different glass, maybe different ice. But the variables to making that daiquiri change so much.
And they'll change from bar to bar manager to guest.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing for me because, if I gave my missus a worthy Part 12 daiquiri, she would send it back. It's crap.
Exactly. So my question, I suppose what I'm going towards is, do you think that cocktails, like a classic cocktail, like a daiquiri and an old fashioned, is like, if you don't make it exactly how the classic recipe says, that it's not an old fashioned? Like, where's is there a line? Is there?
I think, for one of an overused word, that is mixology. Ultimately, it's taking a recipe, adapting it to the customer. The analogy that I use is a chef cooking a steak.
Right.
Steak is steak, right?
Yeah.
You've just started eating meat again. Welcome back, bruv. Welcome back. But everyone has a different cooking level. I used to eat blue. I grew up on a beef farm. I came to this country at the height of the BSE kind of drama and was astonished that you lot weren't eating T-bone steak for breakfast. But steak, you could have blue, you could have well done. If you'd prefer a well done steak and you got served blue, you would send it back and vice versa.
Right.
It's the same for a daiquiri. My question for people, anyone I serve, anyone who I work with, how do you want it made? What do you want it made with? Yeah. And what do you want? Because it's not about me. Sure. I need to make money, ultimately.
It's about the end person.
It's about the guest. It's about the customer. And again, I don't work for monetary tips anymore. I work for likes.
Don't forget, that's a great freaking plug right there. Don't forget to hit that like button. Unplanned.
And I think, far too often I've been served drinks by bartenders who make drinks for themselves.
Completely. I think that's the biggest mistake. And I'm just... So
to have an understanding of basics is good. So to come into establishments like ours to learn the basics. And then you go out and then, you go off on a mental Jamaican rum tangent. And then you think, no, that's rubbish. And you go off on a Brazilian and then that's crap. And then you find some mental distillery in London who are making rum and you go see them and, fall in love with that brand. And I think that's part of my passion is finding a brand. I really like it. The liquid's wicked. The bottle's nice. The story behind it is really, really good. It's good to the earth. We're not killing rhinos. We're not using dodo feathers as a botanical, mental stuff like that. Coming onto that as a nice little plug, this particular mezcal is brought over by sail ship.
Oh, really? Why?
0 carbon. If you read the back label, it's something like 63 days or something. So these guys are New Dawn traders. They bring everything over from the new South America, Central America and America via sailboat. And I think, that's a really good story.
Yeah.
To impart onto your guests. They understand it's not affordable.
How much is that bottle?
Lots of money.
Go on, tell us.
About 70 to 90, shall we say.
Oh, okay. It's expensive.
It's expensive.
This is...
Genta Mezcal.
I think it's pronounced gente.
Where are we?
Yeah, there we go. If you want to know what we're about to sink our teeth into. But, okay, just quickly, just to sort of summarise that answer a little bit then. So, learning those classic cocktails. I'll tell you why I bring it up, because sometimes I make videos on the channel and people go, well, that's not how you make a martini, or I make my sex on the beach like this. I'm like, look, at the end of the day, you make it however you want to make it, as long as it's close to the recipe of what it's supposed to be. Then, I mean, you could make a daiquiri and put vodka, grapefruit juice, and vanilla sugar and call it a daiquiri if you want to. There's no law to say you can't do that. Of course, the classic daiquiri is rum, lime and sugar. Now, them three vary, and you can
what
change.
limes, what sugar, what rum, what ABV.
The rum, lime and sugar that you got when it first came out is completely different to the rum, lime and sugar that you have now. So, yeah, I completely agree. It's down to the final guest and what they want.
And if you can sell your idea to them, and you come across together, and you both have this magical moment, and you share that brief spark of just deliciousness together.
Yeah.
Legally, of course. Deliciousness together. Again, for me, that's more of a reward than anything else. And hopefully they go, well, do you know what? Your man makes amazing drinks. His banter's shit because he's old. Okay. I know, right? Got to say that again. Crap banter, but good drinks. I'm going to go back and spend my hard, well-earned money with that bar next week.
Sure.
And that's how good bars survive.
That's what it comes down to at the end of the day, making your customer happy. So, speaking of making people happy,
grab yourself a clean glass.
that's a good idea.
There we go. This is their Espadin. Yes, please. I'm, I suppose, the classic, modern bartender, falling in love with mezcal. I hate bitters.
Let me just double check where we're at. Yeah. You hate bitters.
I know.
As in like actual
dash of this just dash of that the Fernays and the Negronis of the work. They can all jump in the sea. Do one. Go away. Couldn't give a shit. But mezcal, I think, is something which I've found, I've discovered, tasted quite a few over the years. This one is represented by a lovely lady called Erica. And it's a very, very small company, but again, the ethos behind it, I think, is rather lovely. The branding is rather good. The price point is okay, and ultimately, it's me trying to sell this product to a consumer who's probably never even heard of it before.
Sure. Yeah.
It's nice and light. It's quite accessible. Espadin is this varietal of agave that goes into it, and I think you'll agree, it's not too smoky.
No.
It
smells almost quite sweet.
It's just like having an Isla whiskey. You can up your peat if you want to, or you can go for a nice entry level one.
Yeah.
But this is rather nice.
Hang on. Focus. Close enough. Let's focus back on. There we go. Yeah. Sorry. Go on. So. Oh man, I'm lucky. I'm getting to try all these expensive spirits. This is the only reason why I came down here, really, just to drink all your stock. So, give it a smell.
Have a little smell.
Now, this is the hard part. So, when I was doing the Bartender Brands sort of, what's the word? Judging. Forum. I'm like, well, what does it smell like? After the 17th rum, I'm like, it smells like rum, basically. It's really hard to get away from what you've just tasted and what you've just written down previously in your notes, and to try and differentiate different flavors and taste just from smelling and then tasting it, and then some of them I'm drinking, some of them I'm spitting out. It's quite tough.
It's really tough.
It's quite tough.
I mean, for me, again, it just, have a little look. There's a little delicate hue to it. Not much, but there's a little lick of colour in there. It's not water white, for example.
Yeah.
On the nose, it's not massively smoky. It's vegetal. That's the primary kind of tasting note to look for a good mezcal or most agave spirits. The There's a little bit of salinity in there. Some people say eucalyptus. Some people say menthol. Don't know if you remember menthol fags.
Now
illegal.
They're now illegal.
Apparently so.
Wow.
I know, right? Who would
Wow.
have thought? That's a whole bunch of 14-year-olds not smoking fags now.
That's marijuana is going to be legal soon, and menthol fags is now illegal. There's a turn up on the books.
And it sounds weird, but there's a bit of meatiness in there.
I know what you mean.
Savoury. That's the right word. Umami. That sort of vibe. You know, which lends itself extremely well with Central American cuisine. You know, works with most spices, cilantro, coriander, basil, that sort of thing. You know, it's perfect. Flavour-wise, I just think it's very well balanced. And I think, you know, just rightly, do deserve the price point, the packaging, the care that's taken to come over to the UK as well. You know, that all boils down, I hate to say it, but into one little tiny package. Ultimately, it's up to you as to whether or not you like it or not.
Okay, let's give it a try and see what we think.
Excuse the spittoon. But it's quite big, it's quite full-bodied.
Wow.
Again, that savouriness comes through, the menthol, the eucalyptus.
It's also very delicious. You know, it's a little bit spicy. I can still kind of taste this almost sweetness to it. You know, like you said, meaty. You always want to chew it. It's quite thick and viscous. It's really good.
You know, great as itself. Superb in a mezcal margarita. And again, you know, this is this discussion as to what is the classic recipe. Do you put mezcal in a margarita? Are you allowed to? Because it's a different category altogether. Who knows? Do you mix it with some pineapple juice, some coriander, some basil, like Verita style? You know, again, whatever makes you happy, I think is the way forward.
Exactly, 100% true. And I think
got the Corona on the side.
There you go. You know, Corona and mezcal. You can't go wrong, really, can you? With a squeeze of lime. Hang on. Let's see where we were at quickly. We're tasting some stuff. Okay. I mean, mezcal is one of those flavors which has definitely become more popular over the last 5-6 years, I think, especially in the bartending world. And I think it's more because bartenders are now starting to look beyond the classic spirits they used back in the late 90s, early 2000s with vodka, rum, gin, peach schnapps, you know, vodkas and liqueurs, you know, and it's gone towards mezcals and obviously vermouths are now becoming a huge trend, I believe, and non-alcoholic.
Yeah, you know, 10 years ago I would have laughed at you. I wish I'd come up with Seedlip. I wouldn't be here now. If I had done, I would be retired and very fat. Well, we've got a nice selection. We've got a lovely new product from Strike, which is Alex Carlton.
The non-alcoholic stuff,
yep, from them. So that's Strike from Alex Carlton, ex-Funkin'. He was the guy behind
yeah.
They've got a not rum, not gin, not vodka.
Have you got it? Can you have a quick?
Middle shelf at the bottom.
Oh yeah, let's grab the...
so they're pretty funky.
Have you got an open one?
Crack it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Obviously you've got the likes of Seedlip. There's the acorn stuff as well, which is rather tasty.
Yeah, I've tried that. That's quite...
Vermouth-wise, again, we're very lucky here in Sussex. You know, we're surrounded by new, established vineyards now. And they're all making vermouth, but vermouth is literally a byproduct from primary wine production. It's the grapes which aren't necessarily destined to go into your big labels, your Premier Cru's, that sort of thing. And I think moving forwards, that's a really nice way to utilise something which historically would have gone to agricultural feed, perhaps. And you know, around here we've got Blackdown vermouth that's made from birch tree wine. Bolney have just launched a new Rosso, which I think is stunning. You know, you can make your own vermouth at home in the bar. Leftover wine, shove it in a jar with some herbs and spices. Again, whatever makes you happy. But that attitude towards low and no, I think, is very important. We just set up a little sub-company, Sober Stars, we're calling it, and we're introducing corporate businesses to business meetings without necessarily having the alcohol fuel, shall we say, behind it.
But that's no fun, really, is it? Because then they don't make bad decisions, and then
it's very Brighton. But I think as a movement, it's very definitely taking traction. More and more people are thinking about what they want to drink, how they want to drink. You know, drink less, drink better, so to speak. I think that's a positive way forward, and it's probably a good thing for the trade as well.
Do you think the trend current trends being low and no alcohol, do you think that the trend is going to continue with that, or do you have a prediction as to where we're going to go? Because
I think the number of brands that are out there, perhaps, and let's do no category first, and I might get kneecapped for saying this, but you know, you buy a bottle of non-alcoholic products and it's not paying duty.
Yeah.
It looks the same as perhaps an alcoholic product, perhaps has the same flavour profile. You know, there are some negative associations of that. You know, it's fine, it's legal, but would you have your child drink it?
What, this, like something like this?
Something like that. Now,
right.
I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Because I've got two children. We work with another product called Lyre's out of Australia. You know, they've got an absinthe, a spice rum, a cane spirit thing. My daughters love them.
Really?
In a professional capacity, could that be construed as a minor drinking an alcoholic product, which of course in the UK law is a big no-no?
Yeah.
So there are those issues, I think. Socially wise, I think if I go out and I'm a DD, designated driver, I don't want to drink the same drink that my kids drink.
I see your point, yeah.
I want to drink a grown-up drink. Do you know what I mean? I've got to drive, I've got to be responsible, but you know, I don't want a glass of juice. I don't want a glass of overpriced cola.
So what do you have?
Something nice, hopefully. Say to the bartender, this is the reason why. It's not Stoptober or anything silly like that, you know. Please don't do that this year. Don't do it this year. For charity, maybe, I must stress that. Of course, it's a good thing, but...
everyone must drink during October.
Please get us out of this problem. But yeah, no, I think the movement is definitely gaining traction. I did a podcast for a company in the States last week, and their big thing was like, well, you know, you guys in the UK are streets ahead with regards to no and low.
Yeah.
You know, we've only got Seedlip here. And I was like, really?
That's a good point. Sorry, I mean, we're talking about no alcohol, low alcohol. There's a lot of people who probably watch this who are in the States and other countries where it isn't so prominent. But here, you've got Strike, you've got Everleaf, you've got Acorn, you've got
Seedlip and Lyre's and all these other wonderful brands. And, you know, as a mixo, as a cocktail bartender, that gives me a nice little cupboard in which to work with.
Sure.
Ingredients wise.
Yep.
You know, and all I want to do is make money.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go.
Now these guys were quite clever. They've introduced capsicum into it to kind of give you the pseudo effect, placebo effect,
sure,
that you're tasting a spirit and you have the heat. I think it's really good. I think it's clever. Again, I think the packaging, you know, that's good enough to sit on a back bar next to other products.
I mean, that's part of the thing, really, isn't it? Is if you're going to make low alcohol, no alcohol stuff, and you put it in a plastic juice bottle, no one's going to drink it. It's got to go in a fancy glass bottle with a nice design for people to actually want to drink it. And I'm still on the fence with it. I think it's definitely a gap in the market that people want, because you don't want to go out and I'm driving, so I'll have a Coke or a water. You soon get bored because your flavour is stuck at that. Especially if the conversation isn't very well, very fruity, yeah. So it's much better to have more variety, but yeah, I know there's many people hopefully still watching this, half an hour in, whatever we are, who are probably going, yeah, but I drink because I want to get pissed, or, you know, I want to go out and party and things like this. And I completely understand that as well.
Not judging.
I've been there and I was a huge part of that carnage. You know, there's so many different reasons why people drink alcohol. I do love a great cocktail, like the Mizo, I nearly called it something else then, and a classic daiquiri. I love it. But when I was going out and, you know, you have a party with your friends, you want to drink a bit to get a bit fruity and a bit, you know, lose your inhibitions a little bit. That was the whole point of having alcohol a little bit, do you know what I mean? And that's, you know, turning off from the real world and going into this fake reality. So that obviously doesn't deliver a certain aspect of it, but it does deliver another aspect of it, which I completely understand. What do you think? Tell us, please, down in the comments box below, once again, you know. Love doing that. But anyway, so even smelling it.
So this is their not rum. You know,
is it supposed to be a spice rum of some sort?
There's a rummy, kind of sugary, caramelly essence going on in it, I think. As soon as you taste it, you get that kind of chilly heat coming through.
Oh yeah. Woo! Hits the back of your throat.
There we go. You know, it works well.
Have you tried it in a daiquiri yet?
It does work well with the daiquiri, but the key thing for the no category in particular is to keep your dilution very, very... So go for a short, sharp shake. None of this stirring for 12 million hours.
Can I do one?
Please do, please
Do
do.
you have any more pseudo lime?
Yeah.
Or do you know anything like citric and malic acid that we're just going to just...
I'll tell you what, why don't you go for an old fashioned?
Okay, yeah.
There we go.
An old fashioned, huh?
So there's a box to your right filled with bitters. There's your standards, Angos. There's the Mrs. Better's bitters kind of range rolling on in there as well. We are in lockdown, so we're very, very low on the garnish vibe, I'm afraid.
When you say there's a box next to me with bitters, I think we've got about 12 bitters on our bar. In this box right here, there's probably about 30. So I'm just going to go, do you know what? I'm going to have like an orange bitters. It'll be one of these.
I think there's the Regan one in there, which is...
There we go, perfect. So, and we've got...
some fancy rocks over there.
Over here?
Yeah, standard ones, and I think there's some fancy ones in there. Or you can go to the IG shelf over on the right-hand side and pick a silly glass from over there.
A silly glass. No, I'll go back to that one.
Oh, you got to have the stand. It's the most nickable glass in the world.
Look at that! It comes with its own stand and everything.
I'm going to steal the stand first, and then I'm going to come back next week and steal the glass.
Exactly. And I'm going to use this sparkling clean mixing glass. No, I'm joking. I'm going to use this. This is your mixing glass, right?
Yeah, that's
fantastic. So, how do you do your old fashions with one of these then?
So standard recommendation, I suppose, is a nice double measure. Chuck in your little bit of sugar and your little bit of bitters, stir very briefly, and then serve over rocks.
Let's do a little more just because, why not, you know? It's not going to get you pissed. And that's the thing, I'm still like, one day I'm like, yeah, I think it's a great idea. And another day I'm like, what's the point? So I'm just...
It's a little bit, and I think I can say this now, but it's a little bit like fake bacon for the vegan world. Not that I've got anything against vegans, but you know, it is a substitute, perhaps.
Completely.
It perhaps will evoke happiness in your brain.
Yeah.
Is it a placebo? It could be thought of in that way, of course.
I'm just using the hands.
And ultimately, you know, you don't necessarily have to have a drink every day.
No, exactly.
And I think, you know, very often, especially in my early career, I'd finish work, I'd get home, have a drink, it's 4 a.m, you wake up, you're muddled again, you know, to have a focus on this or this kind of aspects, I think it's a pain in the ass.
Well, there you go.
It just lets you have a decent grown-up drink without necessarily reaching for the bourbon, you know, the overproof rum, the glass of wine, etc., etc.
Well, my sister's, she stopped drinking over a year ago. And, you know, she said it's the best decision she's ever made and she loves it and everything else. So, I mean, and she loved old fashions with whiskey. But, you know, she had a non-alcoholic Prosecco at her birthday party the other day.
Delicious.
And yeah, loved it. We've got no fruit, no?
No, but I can run up and grab you a lovely, pretty garnish.
All right. And this is... Sorry, I just had some crisp. This is from the kumquat tree outside. Freshly picked. Perfect. Love it. There we go. Just going to put that in there like that.
So citrus-free garnish, again, you know, it comes from a citrus tree, but we haven't had to cut any fruit up or anything like that. And again, this just opens up your market to people who aren't imbibing for whatever reason. They could be pregnant, you know, for example.
Yeah.
The bitters that you'd used, I think, is alcoholic, so that's something to be aware of.
Yeah, I kind of messed it up a little bit, but, you know, it's such a small amount, I suppose, that...
It's marginal.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it just allows me, as your friendly bartender, to mix whatever it is that you have come to see me for.
I mean, it's one of those drinks. Maybe I diluted it a little bit too much, but it's one of those drinks that I don't want to just down it. There's a lot of non-alcoholic stuff I drink quite quickly. Anything non-alcoholic, I don't big gulps. That I could easily sip, but I would like a massive ice cube, so I didn't dilute anymore. You know, so it was. So otherwise, you will end up with perhaps
all the lovely Hoshizaki spheres. You know, that's a nice little.
Exactly.
Them ones.
Exactly. Some of that in there, a nice big bad boy or something. But I'd be happy to pay a decent amount for that if it was made correctly.
Ultimately, it's choice.
I'm going to put a little bit more in there just so...
At the end of the day, you know, you don't have to have a drink if you don't want to, but you can still enjoy a grown-up drink served in a pretty glass with a pretty garnish. And hopefully it makes you happy.
An annoying glass, I definitely...
Winds me up so much.
Christ. There you go. Cool, so... I mean, I saw this at the London Cocktail Week. I didn't get a chance to try it, so thank you very much for letting us have a bash at that. And we've been talking about cocktails and tasting. What is your favourite cocktail? It's a Sex on the Beach, isn't it?
Everyone always asks me this question. My kids take the piss out of it because this is basically all I drink these days. It's a can of Stella.
Can of beer. Otherwise known as a wife beater.
Not anymore. Not anymore. They dropped the ABV down.
Did they?
So it's a nice healthy 4.8 or something these days. Stella again, if you want to get in touch. My fridge is empty. But no, I try not to drink spirits anymore. It's again, it's a love-hate relationship. I spend a lot of my time tasting. By the time I get home, my palate's shot. You know,
what about? Okay, did you have a cocktail that you like to drink?
Favourite drink, I think, is a drink which I've always loved ever since I first discovered it. Is the one that we made earlier, which is just the classic Rum Daiquiri.
Yeah.
It's 3 ingredients. It's booze plus sour plus sweet. You can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Just like you can't go wrong with a can of Stella.
I just got this image of you in a can of Stella like this, man. But
in a chalice glass.
Do you have a favourite cocktail to make?
Yeah, I mean, I get really excited about working with a client, a customer, a guest, finding out what they want, what they really like to drink, and then making it for them. So It could vary from, you know, a Pina Colada, love, Miami Vice, oh my God, you know, I would kill for one of those right now. Do you know what I mean? Amazing drink. Like,
don't you have all the ingredients?
Parasol and the monkey on the side, all them things, and that's my middle class ghetto coming out. But you know, it's whatever makes them happy. I know that sounds really cheesy, but I make lots of drinks, different styles. We can do vegan, non, low, super boozy, not. I like working with aesthetics, so simple things like pretty ice, pretty glassware, pretty garnishes, they make me happy. Again, I spend a lot of time thinking about flavour and chopping from, you know, insanely alcoholic spirits to the no's, the lows that I don't really have a favourite anymore.
Do you have? Okay, so sorry, I'm just redo this.
I suppose something that I think should make a comeback are Caipirinhas.
Oh yeah, completely agree with that.
Because I loved that whole Caipirinha craze, the Sagachiba. In fact, I think I saw you again at Taste of London. You were working with some reprobates on their bar, I think, at one point.
For sure.
But yeah, no, I think the Caipirinhas are amazing. You know, and that whole kind of, again, it's very similar, I suppose, flavour profile to a daiquiri. booze plus sour plus sweet. Simple. And preferably a drink which doesn't take me too long to make.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then I get bored.
Yeah, and you think, I drink it, and then I've got to go through that again to make it again.
Or they want 12.
Or they want 12. Yeah, exactly. Here's a question then. So, you mentioned Marion Beck earlier, and I think he was one of the instigators of this trend that we're seeing, and not now, with extravagance. Oh, fuck, my head thing can go off. The extravagance of decorating your cocktail or putting it in like a shoe garnished with, like you said earlier, dodo feathers or something. Now, To be honest, I do love it to a certain extent, because I love getting a cocktail. Oh, look, it's in an upside down wavy cat and it's got a fucking parsley straw as a straw or something. It's great, you know, people Instagram it, take pictures of it. But then you can go to another cocktail bar like Elementary, what's it called? Elemental, sorry, Alex. But Taya and Elementary.
There we go.
Excuse me. And you get literally a glass with pretty much a clear liquid in it. And the drinks are fantastic. They just focus just on the liquid. Zero bells and whistles. All the bells and whistles happened before. Marion Beck's one, or let's say Gibson or Nightjar or something. They'll have a drink, great liquid inside as well, but lots of bells and whistles around. Where do you stand? What's your...
Again, I love it all. You know, looking at chefs and what they do with food, looking at canapé chefs, and you know, going down to that minute detail to get one single serve out with all the beautifulness surrounding it, I think is amazing. To be served a crispy cold beer in a delicious frozen glass, amazing. Do you know what I mean? It needs for me to be the right setting, the right people, and whether or not I have enough patience to wait 15 minutes for a drink.
That's the other thing as well. I mean, Nightjar, I remember when I went there, their drinks were great. When on a busy time, you'd obviously wait a little bit longer. But again, do you have the patience to wait for it? I don't know.
Just get a beer on the side.
Exactly. Have a beer, and whilst that is coming, you know, agree. But what about then if you were to open your own bar? You know, which direction would you go?
Again, I'd keep things super simple. I think a lovely concept I came across a couple of years ago was just a bar. It's got good beer, good wine, good spirits, good cocktails, and you have a limited back bar. 3 products per category.
Wow.
1 house, and then 2 that rotate. When the bottle's done, buy another one. If the guests don't like it, change out that particular brand for something else. But just keep things super small. This is just a dick swinging exercise at the end of the day. It's lovely to have, don't get me wrong, brands out there, I'm not knocking you whatsoever.
Yeah, it is.
But you know, to have choice I think is amazing, but it can be quite intimidating for the normal consumer when they walk in and they can't even say half the shit that's on the bar.
That's very well said. Yeah.
They don't even know what it tastes like, let alone how to, you know, can I get one of them ones please?
Exactly.
So again, I think, you know, if you choose your products carefully, if they've got a nice provenance, good brand story behind them, you know, they care about the environment that they're working in. I know that's super cheesy, but the older I get, the more I do this. I think
the more cheese you like.
The provenance, I think, is more and more important. You know, where are they getting their booze from? How is it made? Who are you affecting? Are your sugar pickers, plantation workers, are they being looked after?
Are they not children? You
know, are they dying from kidney disease, etc., etc.
There's 2 bars that come to mind when you mention that kind of layout. And Taya and Elementary are one. I don't know if you've been there yet.
Not yet.
A really fantastic bar in London from Alex Gratana and Monica Berg. And no branding, nowhere. All their own label bottles that they make and whatever else. And another bar in Lisbon that my girlfriend used to work at called Toca de Raposa. Which is owned by a lady called Constanza. I'm sorry, I don't know her second name, but it's like Taya. It's all about the liquid inside. They change their cocktail menu every month, and their back bar is literally, I think it's probably 15 little circled lights shooting up with a bottle on each, all Portuguese products. I think
Lush.
Bar 2, yeah, and I mean they don't use them really unless somebody says, "Can I have a bit of that?" All the other brand and everything else is in a drawer because everything is pre-batch, pre-made, and it's. I ordered this cocktail, and that's what you get given. And literally, the cocktail menu is this fold-out thing that her niece or nephew has drawn with a name called like Fox or Rabbit or Bunny or whatever it is, and it say the flavors. This is passion fruit, vanilla, and vodka.
Finished.
That's it.
Yep.
And
I mean, you don't walk into a restaurant and go, "Where'd you get your cows from? I mean, your beef from? Where'd you get your pork from?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just says pork, reared within 35 miles, and that's what you eat. You know, I mean, one of my favourite bars. This is going back a long time now. There's a sort of a evolution of it now. It's under a new name, new owner. But I don't know if you remember Casita.
I don't know.
So that was a tiny little bar, aptly named Ravy Street in Shoreditch. Back in the day, it's called Home Bar now. Hi, Oscar. It looks like a shed.
Right.
All right. It's wooden panels. It's really small. go in there, you get a shot of tequila, a Verdita, and then a nice glass of Sagres. Finished. 5 drinks, maybe 10 drinks on the menu. Again, they change every day. That's fresh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The big chain bars, they've done exceptionally well. Of course they have. The flourishes, and that's what we teach here as well. The dry ice and the complicated garnishes. But can you achieve that particular serve 100% of the time?
That's
do you
the question.
have the staff necessary to do that? Are they trained in order to do that? Those are really, really, really big things. And without that, you're watching YouTube videos, you're trying to figure out how the hell they've done this.
Yeah.
And you're
And they're like, put it in the thing, there you go.
done. See you later.
Yeah.
Let's put it in a shopping trolley. Kick it out. But I think with any concept, it's got to be well delivered. Your clientele have got to understand what that concept is. Here in Brighton, what would I order? What would I sort of design? In the summer, beach bar.
Yeah.
Miami Vice. All day.
All day.
Miami Vice Mojitas, bruv.
Mojitas. Exactly.
All day. Why? Because I like drinking Miami Vice, especially in a slushy format. Mojitos make you tons of money, and then hopefully we make people happy, and I go home a little bit richer.
This is it. It's very refreshing to hear because you see a lot online, and Miami Vice. Can you imagine some of the names out there saying, I love to drink a Miami Vice? This is why I've always been an advocate for, at the moment it's Jumbo, it's done Pina Colada.
Lush.
Do you know what I mean? It's diabetes in a glass, but
fine.
You love it. And you keep mentioning as well, which I think is great, and there's a very big message to everyone out there, is that what does the people want? And that's what everybody seems to forget a lot. It's like, we don't sell sex on the beach here. Well, this is a such and such establishment. No, but if this lady or gentleman or whoever wants a sex on the beach and you can make it, then you can make it.
And fun side bar, party bar, the LCCs of the world, etc., etc. I've always been a massive fan of flair. I can't catch for shit, so I can't do it.
Can you show us some of your flair?
No, not with you in the ring. Absolutely not. But I encourage flair. We do WFA courses here as well, which is thanks to you. And I think that for me is important. It's the showmanship. It's the interaction between the customer and the bartender, making sure that they're both happy. If they're both happy, then do you know what? I'm going to come back and see you next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand over my wallet. There you go.
Yeah.
Take all of it out,
Yeah.
and let's have a nice fun time. So the jackets, the gloves, fine, not a problem, not knocking it. The tattoos, the piercings, fine, not knocking it either. But have fun.
Yeah.
It's the same in the events world as well. One day you could be in the Victoria and Albert Museum, the next you could be in a field with sunglasses and a water pistol filled with a white rum.
You were never there, were you? Ever. But it's a very, very important message, I think, to put across to people, and that's what it comes down to. And I think that's what you teach your students as well. And what we try and teach to ours is that what we're showing you here is a base of bartending skill.
And then off you go.
Yeah, off you go. Enjoy yourself.
Fall into the mezcals, fall into the vermouths, go off on a massive, lifetime mission to find out everything you need to find out about that one category, and then fall in love with another category.
Yeah, exactly. Never stop learning. Never stop thinking, no, I know it all, because you don't. Nobody knows it all. Nobody knows all the rums, or whatever, because
and if you say you do,
changing.
I don't believe you.
Then if somebody says that they do, I'm like, well, then you're stuck in your business. You're stuck in this business because you are already behind, because all these new things have come out, all these new ideas. I mean, just talking to you now, I've learned a lot. When I speak to anybody, I learn something new. When you
and vice versa. It's really, and this interaction, this sharing, I think is important. And for the early part of my career, this sharing didn't happen.
No.
We run effectively 2 competitive companies. We operate within the UK. You're very much an international base. But, I think it's your second visit here.
Second or third.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Welcome you with open arms. Well, socially distanced open arms.
Yay!
But I think it's all about sharing, and I think the online forums, the city forums, the LBAs, Brighton Bartenders, Babs, Manchester's. Let's ignore some of the bigger organisations around the world, perhaps.
Not naming names. If you got this far, welcome.
You're still here. Well done. I haven't annoyed you yet. But yeah, I think that's the most important message is sharing, and I'm happy to learn from flair bartenders, magicians. Happy to learn from fellow bartenders myself. You know, I crap at Excel. Anything you can teach me on Excel, I happily learn. Why? Because it make my stock take easier.
Exactly, and that's
Bradley.
Okay, so I think we're going to come to the end. I think this is a good sort of finishing point.
Thank you very much.
So the last word. Couple of quick questions. Who's your favourite bartender?
You, obviously.
No, fuck off, man.
Okay, now my favourite bartender, I think he's very well known on the event circuit. He goes by the name of Brandon. He's delicious to look at.
Look at Brandon getting a plug in there.
I've been very lucky. I've worked in a lot of different countries with a lot of different bartenders. You know, over the years, I've worked with some amazing people like Jamie Stevenson. You know, again, I've learned from really, really talented people, and I've worked alongside them. Yeah. I remember my first festival gig. It was working with flair bartenders. I worked with the two Neils and Tug and France, Beans as well. We were laughing about earlier, Mr. Tommy Ferber, and there was little old me who'd like never done this before.
But just quickly going back and saying, you can actually flair a little bit. I've seen you flair. I'm not going to ask you to do it, but you can.
I can do a bottle of tin, I can do a 30-second routine, but you know, anywhere near shelving, my spatial awareness is terrible. I just run around after it, trying to catch it, and I'm better on the beach.
No problem. Okay, other quick questions. What's your favourite bar?
Here in Brighton, we're quite lucky, I think. We've got some cool bars here. They're independent bars. Places like Potting Parlour are pretty cool. Up in town, again, it's kind of a evolution from what it was. Okay,
and what's your favourite spirit?
Favourite spirit, massively into rum. Rum agricole, I think, for me, is something which I'm fallen in love with again and love to rediscover. Pretty much anything that makes me smile.
There you go. Fantastic. Well, Myles, social distance handshake right there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming down.
For taking part in the fourth, maybe third podcast. We're not sure which order
we're in.
Exactly. Thank you very much for showing us around. This is the Mixology Group Bartending School down in Brighton. If you're in this area, come check it out. If you've got any questions about it, put a comment down in the comments box below. And thank you very much for watching all the way until the end and listening to us rambling on, and for me getting a little bit pissed, actually, and for Myles not, because he's driving. And Myles, is there anything that you'd like to say to the lovely people at home before we leave?
Stay safe, stay healthy, and go to your nearest local bar as soon as you can.
Fantastic. Thank you very much once again. Say goodbye, Myles.